All right, let's talk about GPU virtualization, specifically for VDI workloads. If you're trying to figure out the right GPU setup for your virtual desktop infrastructure, you're in exactly the right place. We're going to break down how to get this right. Okay, before we really jump in, we've got to cover some important ground rules here. This is Module 8 of a much larger 20-part series that's based on a really deep report. So think of this as general information to get you started, not specific financial or legal advice. And I really want to call this out. Licensing is a huge, complex topic. We're going to touch on it today, but pay very close attention because we'll dive even deeper in Module 14. So let's get right to it with a question I'm sure many of you have heard before. You've got VDI users, and they're complaining, right? Laggy windows, choppy video calls, a desktop that just feels slow. If that sounds familiar, then you know exactly why we're here. We're going to kick things off by looking at the user experience. Because let's be honest, in a modern VDI world, having a GPU isn't really a nice to have anymore. It's become absolutely essential for a responsive, productive virtual desktop. And here's the thing that makes VDI so different from other workloads. You know, with something like AI, you might pin a GPU at 100% for days. But with VDI, it's the total opposite. It's completely unpredictable. One minute, your user is just typing an email, and the next, they're on a full-screen video call with 10 other people. That variability is what makes the planning so incredibly challenging. So this leads to a really crucial point. You absolutely cannot have a one-size-fits-all approach. A successful VDI project hinges on understanding what your users are actually doing, matching the right GPU resources to their real-world work, not just what their job title says they do. Now, this is where it gets really interesting. We can basically break down VDI users into 3 core groups: the knowledge worker, the power user, and the graphics pro. And just look at the difference in density. That's how many users you can pack onto a single physical GPU. It's huge. And then there's the frame buffer, which is the dedicated video memory each user gets. Let's dig into each of these. First up, the knowledge worker. This is probably the bulk of your user base, right? They live in browsers, email, and Office docs. The goal here isn't to run some crazy 3D app. It's simply to offload all that basic window drawing work from the CPU. That simple change makes the whole system feel snappier and lets you get the highest density of users on your hardware. Then you've got the power user. These folks are pushing the system a lot harder. We're talking multiple high-res monitors, tons of apps open at once, and they're constantly on video calls that need good video encoding. So for them, you're trying to find that perfect balance between solid performance and still getting a decent number of users on each card. And finally, we have the graphics professional. For these users, performance is everything, period. Their productivity depends on it. They're in demanding CAD, video editing, or 3D simulation apps. This means you're going to have very few users per GPU, or you might even give them their own dedicated card using something called pass-through. Okay, so we know about the different types of users. How do we actually turn that knowledge into a real-world plan? Let's walk through the blueprint for a successful rollout. A successful project really boils down to these 4 steps. First, you've got to do that deep user profiling we just talked about. Then, you plan your capacity. After that, you assign the right vGPU profiles to your users. And this one is critical. You don't just set it and forget it. You have to continuously monitor performance to make sure everyone is still having a good experience. And speaking of capacity planning, this number right here, this is so important. Don't plan your environment to run at 100%. You always want to build in a buffer, about 15 to 20% of extra capacity. That headroom is what saves you when everyone logs in at 9 a.m. on Monday. It prevents that resource crunch that causes all those performance complaints. Now, we need to talk about one of the most complex and honestly one of the most underestimated parts of a VDI GPU project, and that is software licensing. I'm telling you, this can be an absolute minefield if you're not ready for it. And hey, don't just take my word for it. The report this is all based on gives this very direct warning. When they say licensing needs to be investigated thoroughly, they mean it. It's a clear signal that this is a major risk to your project's success and budget. And here's why it's so tricky. Licensing isn't just one item you check off a list. It's a whole stack of different agreements. You've got licensing for the physical card, for the vGPU software itself, for your VDI platform like VMware or Citrix, for the Windows OS, and then for every single application running inside. Each layer has its own rules, its own costs. It's a lot to manage. So, to wrap this all up, your blueprint for a successful project really comes down to these 4 things. 1. profile your users based on what they actually do. 2. Plan your capacity with that critical 15 to 20% buffer. 3. Monitor performance all the time. And 4. Dig into every single layer of that licensing stack before you spend a dime. And that leaves us with one final thought to chew on. At the end of the day, a cheap VDI that no one wants to use is a failure. The real goal is to find that sweet spot, that perfect balance, where you're delivering a fantastic experience that makes your users happy and productive while also keeping an eye on the bottom line. It's all about designing for your users first.